Dear friends, I'm Operator Starsky, and this is day 1111 of Russia's illegal and unprovoked aggression against Ukraine. Suspension of the defense aid to Ukraine led to the Russian escalation along the front lines. European allies step in to help. Ukraine brings the special military operation to the territory of Russia. The US Vice President's cousin fought for Ukraine, and a bit of the Russian cringe to brighten your day. My dear friends, this is the Frontline Focus. Let's roll. As soon as the US President Donald Trump cut defense aid to Ukraine, the Russian invaders launched massive attacks along the front line. In Kursk Oblast, Russian terrorists have recaptured several settlements northwest of Sudzha, including Novaya Sarachina, Malaya Lakhnya, and Lebedevka. In Sudzha, Russian terrorists, supported by the North Korean units, have entered the industrial zone in the northeast and are trying to push further into the city center. Reports also suggest that Russian troops crossed the Sudzha River, trying to penetrate deeper into urban areas. Also in Sumy Oblast of Ukraine, for the first time since 2022, the Russian invaders made an attempt to advance deeper into the northern part of the region. They have seized Novenka, suggesting an effort to push Ukrainian troops out of Kursk Oblast and strengthen Russian control in the region. The Russian invaders have intensified attacks on Chasiv Yar, obviously aiming to capture the city. Their goal is to open a path towards Konstantinivka, which is a town serving as a crucial Ukrainian defense stronghold in Donetsk Oblast. We can say that at this point Ukraine is facing a growing defensive pressure, especially as it deals with shifting international defense aid. And my friends, if you have at least a basic military experience, you must know that such massive offensive operations require time to prepare logistics and concentrate enough armor and personnel, like we can see happening around Sudzha and Sumy Oblast of Ukraine. Just to compare, Ukrainian offensive operation in Sudzha last year took approximately a month to prepare. And my personal assumption is that apparently Russians anticipated the Trump administration to cut the aid to Ukraine already around late January, early February. Coincidentally, around the same time, they escalated their airstrikes on Ukraine. But speaking of shifting international defense aid, situation looks much more promising here, my friends. France will provide Ukraine with 195 million euro worth of defense aid. That will include 155mm shells and aerial bombs for the Ukrainian Mirage aircraft. In addition, France agreed to provide its military intelligence to Ukraine. Simultaneously, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine signed an agreement with IRIS-T suppliers, expecting to grow the stockpile of missiles for the air defense threefold comparing to what Ukraine has at this point. The UK provided the first financial transfer to Ukraine worth £752 million at the expense of the frozen Russian assets. Also, the kingdom signed a deal worth €35 million to provide drones to the Ukrainian defenders. Norway will grow its defense aid to Ukraine more than twice, reaching almost €8 billion in 2025. The European Union will allocate additional €15 billion to boost Ukraine's defense. Also, the Netherlands will provide €700 million to supply Ukraine with drones. And just recently, Portugal has delivered 8 modern helicopters. In some of his recent statements, the internationally wanted war criminal Putin stated that Russians are missing party and drive. The message has been received by the good Ukrainian drones that worked really hard over the past week to make the life for the Russians a bit more brighter. As a result, our neighbors enjoyed a series of parties at the oil refineries in Ryazan, Novokuybyshev, strategic factories in Kornevo and Novolipetsk, oil refinery in Leningrad Oblast, also several biggest oil and gas terminals in Rostov and Sызrань, and even a military rations manufacturing plant in Bryansk. I mean, the Russian invaders will be wasted in a meter salt anyways. Why spend the MREs? Plus, they are not particularly good. Ukrainian flying objects bringing joy to the Russian oil and gas industry are responsible for decreasing the production of those resources in the terrorist federation by approximately 1/3. In January 2025 alone, Ukraine conducted over 25 successful attacks on Russian strategic assets, including major oil refineries and pumping stations. At this point, Russia is desperate to have sanctions lifted because they struggle repairing the damaged facilities without the foreign components. If you see this happening soon, my friends, it means Putin has paid some truly generous bribe to make it happen. And now I would like to share an incredible story of a true American hero currently inspiring the whole world. Turned out that Nate Vance, the 47-year-old cousin of the US Vice President, served as a volunteer fighter in Ukraine for over 2 years. A former US Marine, Nate joined the Ukrainian forces following Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. This man participated in significant battles across Ukraine, including Kupiansk, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Pokrovsk. His commitment to Ukraine's defense persisted until January 2025, when he concluded his service shortly before his cousin's inauguration as vice president. In recent interviews, Nate expressed profound disappointment regarding his cousin's stance on Ukraine. He criticized J.D. Vance's actions during an Oval Office meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, describing the whole encounter as an ambush and labeling the behavior of the Trump administration as absolute dishonesty. Nate Vance also expressed concerns that reduced U.S. support for Ukraine, including cuts for defense aid and intelligence sharing, undermines Ukraine's defense efforts and emboldens Russian aggression. And this is something coming from an actual American veteran who fought actual Russian terrorists in Ukraine, my friends. Not on a sofa and not in the world of warships. Despite his personal connections, Nate Vance continues to advocate for robust support for Ukraine, and please, if you're watching this, leave your thumbs up for a true American patriot and other international volunteers defending Ukraine today. And finally, a small but worthy Russian cringe for you, my dear friends. A lot of Russian propagandists portray their country as a peaceful harbor for the Christian people with conservative values. A Russian widow told her success story: marry a Russian man, send him to the PMC Wagner, receive compensation after his death, and chill at Maldives. Check this out.
Муж попал в Африку в составе ЧВК «Вагнер». Обычный штурмовик – это 240 тысяч рублей. Для меня как бы это не сильно большие деньги. С момента, как он прибыл в Мали и до его гибели 1,5 месяца. Последний разговор с моим мужем был за несколько часов до его гибели. На самом деле, да, я тоже задаю себе вопрос, за что он погиб. Будем говорить прямо, ради денег. За смерть бойца 5 миллионов. Понятно, что я тут не разгуляюсь. Первый месяц после похорон я провела вообще в отключке.
Я как будто не живу больше.
После 40-го дня я улетела на Мальдивы. Было невыносимо находиться дома. У тебя везде воспоминания. Я делаю все, что поможет мне чувствовать себя живой. И вот, плевать мне, кто там что скажет.
What can I say? Russia is truly a conservative country full of amazing traditions and Christian values. If you're asking yourself, why do Russian men volunteer to become a fertilizer for Putin somewhere in a foreign country, I hope that this episode will shed some light for you, my friends. With that, I wish you all a beautiful day. Please subscribe to stay informed about the most important updates and share this content to help Ukraine be heard. I'll see you in the comments. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.